Hey everyone, and welcome to this brand new video featuring all that's new on the OC Streetcar for the month of October, here on the Tiger Rail Fan YouTube channel. Let's first start by taking a look at the route map of the OC Streetcar, which runs between downtown Santa Ana and the Harbor and Westminster Station, or the Harbor Transit Center. So let's go ahead and start here at the Harbor Transit Center and begin making our way east towards downtown Santa Ana. That's the route that we're going to be following today in this month's construction update. Just behind us there was the intersection of Harbor and Westminster, which houses several important bus connections that we'll get to in just a moment. But there is the Harbor Transit Center station on the OC Streetcar. It's located here on the east side of Harbor Boulevard, and the tracks literally end right here too. This is an incredibly busy intersection as well, which makes it very hostile for those who are walking around. But here we are at the station. This is the only OC Streetcar stop that has free parking at it as well. The parking lot dedicated to riding the OC Streetcar is located just on the right-hand side. And that parking lot lane goes all the way down to Westminster Boulevard, so you can exit with your vehicle onto that street as well. But here we are at the station, and compared to last month's episode, not much relating to the station itself has changed, but something I see right away is the overhead wires. They are completely straightened out, and they look like they're ready for operational testing. Here in this before and after from last month, we can see a huge difference where the OC Streetcar overhead wires were still not taut, and they were definitely not ready for a test train. Also recently, the OC Streetcar had its first full run-through of the OC Streetcar route. Of course, it was pulled not on its own power, it was pulled by a truck along the tracks. But this is the first step in preliminary testing that helps ensure that the streetcars have clearance throughout the entirety of the route. But looking where the former Pacific Electric Railroad right-of-way was, just across Harbor Boulevard, we can see how the line would have continued through Harbor Boulevard here. But it is now an industrial parking lot area, and in the distance, it looks like an OC bus depot over there with all of those buses parked. So there's so much more potential beyond this current terminus of the line, but of course that would cross county lines and would need lots of collaboration between LA Metro, OC Streetcar, and the respective county governments. But looking straight up to the station here, we can see, just like all of the OC Streetcar stops along the line, it is wheelchair accessible. All you need to do is go up that small ramp up to the small island platform there. And that is how most of these streetcar stops are aligned in this section of the route, with most of them being an island platform with a track on either side. But once we get towards downtown Santa Ana, you'll notice more have side platforms and are separated by direction of travel. So it'll be even more important to know which direction of travel you're heading before you enter the potentially wrong platform. Now, word on vandalism too. That wall was still vandalized, but it's worth noting that the OC Streetcar sign no longer had white text over it now. So they've cleaned it, and hopefully they continue to protect themselves from vandalism and graffiti, as that would definitely increase the cost of the project. And with all the project overruns and delays, we definitely don't want to see any more of things like that. But another look at those overhead wires, looks like they are perfectly ready to go for an OC Streetcar test. So that's going to be the biggest thing that we're going to be looking at between this video and the next one. Connection-wise, we just saw the Route 43 pass by, which is the local bus that runs along Harbor Boulevard north and south. There are also two rapid bus routes that make limited stops, the 543 on Harbor Boulevard and the 560 on Westminster Boulevard. So there will be plenty of places to connect to at the Harbor Transit Center, as they affectionately name it, the Transit Center. So of course there's going to be plenty of bus connections here. But as we continue back towards the intersection, we can truly see how hostile it is for pedestrians to walk and move around here. There are super wide streets, 6 lanes in each direction, but we can see a bus stop in the distance. At least the bus stops here at the intersection, due to the big transfer opportunities here, are quite nice, and they all have shade, and they've been recently redone. We'll get a look at some of those bus stops as well in today's video when we assess the connectivity of each of the OC Streetcar stops. But looking to our left though, we are able to see the bridge, one of the only grade separated parts of the line over Westminster Boulevard. just on the right hand side as well, we're able to see some transit-oriented development. Maybe it's not transit-oriented because the OC streetcar has not been here yet, but there is plenty of housing on the right hand side. But the biggest issue and the biggest oversight here is that there is no crosswalk or way to efficiently get to the OC streetcar stop from the apartment structure, which definitely sucks, as you would have to walk all the way over to where I'm at the moment to cross the street here at Westminster and Harbor, and then you'd have to backtrack your steps back to the OC streetcar stop. But let's go ahead and do that now. Crossing the street, we're able to see the Route 543, which is the rapid variant along the Harbor Boulevard corridor. Running every 20 minutes, there is a lot of ridership along the route here. Just to our left-hand side is the bus stop for the Route 560 and 60, which run along Westminster Boulevard. As you can see, the bus stops are pretty upgraded with that shade and benches. Looking this way as well, you can see that bus stop where you'd connect to for the 560 and Route 60. But looking to the left-hand side here, there unfortunately is not much transit-oriented development besides that singular apartment structure. Hopefully we see more coming in the future. But despite that, I'm sure the station is still going to have quite a good amount of ridership because of the high speeds the streetcar is going to get as it heads east towards Fairview, in addition to the large amount of bus transfers that you can make here. And you can see the sheer amount of the apartment structure there as well, how far back it goes. So hopefully, despite the inconvenience, we'll still see people using it in order to reach downtown Santa Ana, as it would definitely be a convenient and quick way to do so. Hopefully, the OC streetcar will be modeled after something like Kansas City, which has quite a successful streetcar system. But now let's go ahead to make our way to the next stop along the line at Fairview Station, which is still in its own right of way. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Before we get to the Fairview Street Station, let's go ahead and look at the intersection at Fairview and Westminster, which is where we're at now, roughly half a mile from either Fairview and the Harbor Transit Center stations. So it is a gap of service, but it is just barely in that range where you could walk to it. And it's worth noting that there is an apartment structure here as well, in addition to a small business plaza. So hopefully OC streetcar is able to capture some ridership from this area as well, despite it being a little inconvenient to get to. Despite that, you can also ride the Route 560 directly to the Santa Ana Metrolink station, or you can take the Route 47, which also runs very frequently, to the OC streetcar stop and transfer from there. So this area is going to have plenty of public transit opportunities, whether it be the OC streetcar or the buses. But now let's jump on that Route 47 actually, as we pass by the Santa Ana River and the Fairview Station. Here we can see the Santa Ana River, and across you can see the OC streetcar's bridge across the river. You can also see the old Pacific Electric Railroad bridge as well, that is located in front of it. We take a deeper look at that in last month's episode as well, if you'd like a look at that. As we get closer to the station though, we can see that it's really just made up of single family homes, and there is not much density directly around the station. There is though a school district administration building, which is located right ahead. In addition to a charter school, which is located just past the station as well. So at least there is a little bit of development around here and a little bit of ridership to be had here. But I worry that this station is going to be one of the least used stations of the OC streetcar route, especially with there being much higher density at that previous intersection and a much bigger opportunity for ridership. But I do respect the logic of it because they are staying on the Pacific Electric right-of-way, and they are able to get some faster speeds through that. But here we are, there is the Fairview Station OC streetcar stop. Similar to the Harbor Transit Center, it is an island platform with 2 tracks on either side. We do see a construction worker there guiding some people on the other side of the street. They are digging beneath the concrete, and we're actually going to be able to see that more in depth at the downtown Santa Ana stations. So don't fear, we're going to be getting a deeper look at that. Something that the OC streetcar mentions in their construction updates is that they're going to be working on repaving some parts of the street. Here is the warning that the OC Streetcar provides to warn people of the road closures. And this could be related to that project, potentially prepping it, or maybe it's the last step after they've completed the milling and paving. But now here we are just before the Raitt Street station. Already, just before we get to the station, we can see an OC bus stop already on the relatively local Raitt Street. This particular bus stop services Route 151, which is a clockwise loop along Santa Ana. On the other side of the street, we have the 150A, which runs in the opposite direction in the clockwise loop. But looking at the housing stock or the density of the area, we can see that it's mostly single-family homes and nothing much more. But most notably about this station is the presence of the rail maintenance facility here for the OC Streetcar. So we're going to get a look and see what the configuration of the OC Streetcars are in the depot. We can also see those relatively vintage-looking street lamps, and honestly, I really like it. As we begin approaching Santa Ana, it really helps make the city feel much more homier. Almost like what LA Metro is doing on the D-Line extension, especially in the Beverly Hills area. But here we are at the Raitt Street station. Looking at the floor, it seems like they're trying to grow some green area around here, which is a good sign, and it's often overlooked in transit projects like this. But immediately something brand new I see is a fence at the end of the platform that looks like it's an emergency exit, but I don't know where it goes. There doesn't seem to be any steps or any walkway once you leave the emergency exit. It's worth having, but it's interesting how they put that there, even with the station being so small that it's pretty much easier to just turn around and walk down the ramp. Although I do understand that sometimes hazards can occur in that one only entrance and exit. I'm happy to report that the signaling is on though at this part of the line. As a reminder, at the first stop along the video at Harbor and Westminster, the lights were not on for the signals. Looks like there was also a full house of OC Streetcar vehicles in there, one of which also had a little bit of a wrap, it seems like. But we can see here that these signals in this area are also working, and the signs that are going to warn motorists of the streetcars coming are also installed. Here we can see the streetcar tracks run in an interesting alignment, with one on the left lane and one on the rightmost lane. Also, we can see the wonderful design they've used for the overhead catenary, which honestly makes it seem almost invisible unless you're looking for it. Besides the gray poles that appear every once in a while on the side of the street, it pretty much blends in with the other electrical wires that are currently also in the area. So hopefully this helps appease residents and keeps their front yard looking nice. There's also plenty of on-street parking as well for the residents, and a new bike lane, which is kind of hard to see, but it's in between that dotted line and the parking lot lines. So it's relatively narrow and not protected from traffic, unfortunately, but this is more of a residential street, so maybe they thought they didn't need it as much. There's also a median here in the middle of Santa Ana Boulevard, and this also blocks access to go straight through Santa Ana Boulevard at some of these residential intersections. So while this doesn't benefit residents, this helps speed up the OC Streetcar travel time, as it won't need to stop for pedestrians to cross or for vehicles to cross here. So I'm glad to see that measures like that are being done in order to ensure that the OC Streetcar isn't just another one of the unsuccessful streetcars across North America, but hopefully it's one of the more successful ones. Just over here at the next block over, there is a pedestrian intersection here in the form of a hawk signal. These are my favorite ways to get people to cross the street, as especially in low density areas, it's not going to be triggered that often, and it's not going to interfere with traffic as often. But essentially, it acts like a regular traffic light and ensures vehicles stop for pedestrians. And it's statistically shown that it's much safer for pedestrian crossings, especially at busier streets. But here we are now approaching the Bristol Street station here, after walking a little under half a mile down East Santa Ana Boulevard. Now we can see that the streetcar stations are taking a different form here, with two side platforms on either side of the street. You're going to see this much more commonly now that we are not on the streetcar's own right-of-way. We are now sharing space with vehicles. But here we are. Let's take a look at some things that are new at the Bristol Street station. The only thing really was that sign showcasing no trespassing and to reiterate that people are not to enter the station here. But other than that, structurally everything is the same, and the stations seem pretty much done except the ticket vending machines, which are still boarded up, most likely to protect it from the weather. But something new here is, looks like a construction worker is working on bollards. These are new at this station here, and we're going to see this all throughout the video as well. So this could be what the OC Streetcar was doing with paving and remodeling areas around the street. Looking at Bristol Street though, we can see that the street is absolutely very wide, but they've done a great job at making the sidewalks separate and ensuring that there's plenty of greenery around the area here. This OC bus stop here services Route 57, which is a direct connection to the OC Streetcar stop here. I do enjoy as well how you can scan schedules, and it's efficient utilizing QR codes, as OC Bus is not going to need to replace those signs anytime soon. Going just a little bit further south to the next block at First Street, you'll also find a great connection to the also frequent Route 64, which runs along the OC Streetcar just slightly south. I'm curious to see if service is going to be reduced along the Route 64, as it does parallel the streetcar quite a bit. But only time will tell for that. Meanwhile, here's one of those Route 57 buses coming through, heading towards Costa Mesa, utilizing these nabby 60-foot buses. The bus stops here have great amenities. They've got the trash cans, shade, and chairs, which is nice as well. But let's go to the next stop along the line, at Flower Street. We're now officially entering downtown Santa Ana, and we're starting to see density to show for it, with the government building on the left-hand side. This is the first signs that we're going to see of City, and as you'll see in today's video and the previous ones, downtown Santa Ana is heavily based on government offices and buildings. So you won't see too many businesses or residential areas, except the Civic Center and Main Street area, which is also conveniently a big OC bus connection spot and walking distance to the Santa Ana train station, which is the terminus of the OC Streetcar here. But here we are at the Flower Street station at the intersection of Flower and Santa Ana. The OC Streetcars here are taking a side platform approach on opposite sides of the intersection as well, which I have found interesting. So make sure you are checking which side you're going on and ensure that you're on the right side of travel. But looking to our right-hand side of the eastbound direction of the OC Streetcar station, we see there are some workers digging beneath the concrete, and there are some bollards there as well. My guess is that they're installing one more bollard to ensure pedestrian safety. And I'm glad that they're planning to do that on the OC Streetcar, as it's very necessary in busy areas. Although, in all honesty, I don't know how busy the OC Streetcar will be. Hopefully though, we'll see plenty of ridership, but I'm not sure at this station, besides those who work at these government offices off to the side. There's another stop just a little further down as well that's going to serve those other two skyscrapers that are directly in front of us. So that's going to capture more of that ridership. It's worth noting that the catenary for the OC Streetcar continues to be very minimal, which I love seeing, especially in a downtown mixed traffic area here. Keeping the look of downtown Santa Ana as close to the same as possible. It's also worth noting that the bike lane is very wide and there's a median protecting it from the streetcar and pedestrian traffic, which is amazing to see. I honestly wish they did this on more places in downtown Santa Ana and across the system in Orange County. But let's go ahead and cross the street and get closer to our next stop along the line at Ross Street. We can see the bike lane takes an interesting approach here, where it makes a 90-degree turn to cross the streetcar tracks, which I honestly think is a genius idea, as it ensures bicyclists are checking both directions when crossing the streetcar track. There's also a stop sign here too, which is interesting. Haven't really seen that on a bike lane in a while. But you'll notice this is also where Santa Ana Boulevard begins splitting from the area we're walking on now. Santa Ana Boulevard continues up in a northeastern direction. But we're going to be continuing on 4th Street, which is what the street is, continuing directly straight. So that means we're going to be looking at the OC streetcar stops on the southern alignment of the downtown loop. This is where OC streetcars are heading towards downtown Santa Ana. And that direction, where you can also see the Ross Street westbound streetcar stop, is where westbound streetcars are going to go. So it's worth noting, especially which direction you're heading, to ensure you're going to the right station when boarding the OC streetcar in downtown Santa Ana. Although it is interesting how they have the sidewalk for this area, as there's really no dedicated area to cross. You're just crossing like I did right there, which is pretty interesting, especially after they worked hard to create that bike lane crossing there. You also just saw a bus cross by as well. That is the OC bus Route 55, which connects Newport to Santa Ana. But now let's get a closer look at the eastbound Ross Street station. As you can see, it's pretty familiar in structure to the other stops along the line, with the exact same rules of the streetcar placed, as well as those 2 benches that are still covered up. I'm not sure if that's a sidewalk going all the way to Broadway, but it's really interesting to see how the sidewalk and the OC streetcar track were developed here. I'm sure plenty of people would be walking across that, but I'm not sure if OC streetcar intended for that to happen or not. It is worth noting that the OC streetcar is part of the sidewalk, the station there, so because it's still closed, we're going to have to walk up and detour through Sacker Park, which is the park separating the OC streetcar directions of travel, which run on 4th Street and Santa Ana Street. There's a beautiful fountain here in the middle that almost makes Santa Ana look like it's a big city, especially with the large government offices in the background. You can also, though, get another look at the Ross Street westbound stop over there, which we've checked out in several previous construction updates as well. But essentially, it's a replica of the Ross Street eastbound stop that we just looked at. It's just in a different location on the sidewalk. But now let's begin heading along 4th Street to continue looking through Old Town Santa Ana, where the other eastbound streetcar stops will be located. You can see here how the streetcar track glides along and turns into 4th Street. Let's go ahead and cross the street here at this stop sign, which I really feel like should be a traffic light, especially with the OC streetcar coming through here. It would be a great opportunity to give it some transit priority. Looking to our left is a big government office. It seems like it's federal as well. But let's begin walking along 4th Street here to the next stop along the line, which you can see just there in the distance at Broadway. Named Sycamore Street, though, it's located between the streets of Broadway and Main. But here we are coming up on the Sycamore Street station, which is the small street that we just crossed right now. This streetcar stop is built in with the sidewalk here as well, and it features some of the things that all the other streetcar stops have, which is that small wheelchair accessible ramp, that red emergency telephone, and a small shade structure, which really doesn't appear to be doing anything, especially at this time when the sun is going in a direction that's not straight down, so the shade of the OC streetcar stop can move. Although it looks like the shade of the buildings does help this OC streetcar stop. It's worth noting a lot of the vandalism that was happening on the construction wood protecting the ticket vending machines. As we continue along here, you'll notice that there really is not much pedestrian traffic here, and the downtown area here seems honestly pretty dead, and the businesses didn't seem to have too many people in them, which is also unfortunate. But hopefully the OC streetcar brings back and revitalizes the area around here. Speaking of density though, and busyness around here, There is a massive apartment building over here at the intersection of Main and 4th Street, which is right in the heart of downtown Santa Ana. So it's good to see some of that density coming back, and hopefully we'll see those people on the OC streetcar as well. So I'm sure the Sycamore Street station, with its proximity in Main and Broadway streets, it's going to be one of the higher ridership stations, in my opinion. But let's go ahead and keep walking along 4th Street until we get to the next stop along the line, located at French Street. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the eastbound French Street station looks like. It pretty much copies the same design from the earlier station at Sycamore, with the exception that the ramp kind of curves out towards the street here, which is interesting to see as well. Looks like the design of the station is also mirrored, with the light pole on this side instead of the other. Or actually, they have two. So they made a small adjustment there to improve lighting at this station. Overall, though, it's in very similar state of construction as the other ones. I won't waste your time too much here, but here is a generalized look at the French Street station before we move on towards downtown Santa Ana. But now let's keep walking along 4th Street, where the route recombines just east of this station. At Mortimer Street, the next block over, the OC streetcars on the eastbound direction of travel turn left and join back up with Santa Ana Street, where they follow together towards the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Center. You can also see that there's a small plaza here, which is cool, as well as some public restrooms, which is also interesting to see. And if they are open and working, that would mean that the French Street station here has a restroom available for riders, which is pretty good to see. But continuing past that area, we can see that density sharply drops off. Once you get past that last apartment structure just ahead at the traffic signal, there really is nothing there. Hopefully, though, we see this as an opportunity for new real estate development, and hopefully we see new low-cost housing and high-density businesses as well. That would definitely be something amazing. Moving up, though, to 4th Street and Mortimer, we can see that large apartment structure, and continuing to our left, we're going to see that the OC streetcar route turns onto Mortimer Street here. So we're going to follow it up a couple blocks until it recombines with Santa Ana Street, which is in about 2 blocks or about a 3-minute walk. Let's go ahead and take a look. And here we are now. We are at the point where the route recombines here at Mortimer and Santa Ana Street. We have an interesting way for pedestrians and bicyclists to get around here, with separation of sidewalks and bike lanes, which I am definitely not opposed to, and I think is a great use of the space around here. It almost seems like a small mini park here as well, which is awesome to see. But looking down that way, we can see the Lacey Street station, which we're not going to take an in-depth look at in today's video, unfortunately, but you can see that it is a side platform. Same thing with the other direction of travel as well. So there will be 2 side stations with a similar design to the ones that we've already looked at, built into the sidewalk. One thing I am curious about, though, is what happened to the bike lane here at Santa Ana Boulevard. It's continued all the way since Raitt Street, which was quite a ways away, and it seems like quite a shame that the bike lane hasn't continued all the way to the Santa Ana train station, as well as the OC streetcar has, as I'm sure people would be biking to Metrolink and Amtrak as well. But let's go ahead north on Mortimer Street, where we do have a separated bike lane. So hopefully that means we'll see the bike lane continued on Civic Center Drive, which is the street just ahead. It's also where the OC bus route 83 Express and the 862 shuttle run. The 862 is essentially a loop bus that runs through downtown Santa Ana that is most likely going to be replaced by the OC streetcar once it's complete. But looking straight to the left-hand side, we'll get also a look at the French Street station for westbound streetcars, located here on Civic Center Drive. And it's great news to see that we do have a bike lane here at Civic Center Drive. Looking here, we can also see that the OC streetcar stop protects the bike lane, which is one of the best ways to do it and configure the station, in my opinion. But taking a brief look here at the French Street station, On the westbound traffic, we can see that it's pretty much the same, and all the stations are honestly almost replicas of each other. The same exact 2 covered benches, the same light pole structures, and a lot of the other amenities on the OC streetcar line, such as the emergency telephone, the lights, and the security cameras are in the exact same spot, which is definitely interesting how they've done that. Hopefully it's saved some money. But we can see a construction worker walking back towards this station as well, which I think is interesting to see. I'm curious to see what he's working on, or if he's just taking a look at the station itself. There was a gap in the fence line at the eastern end of the station, so maybe he's going to fix that. Especially with the lack of construction security we've seen that has resulted in lots of graffiti on the OC streetcar line. But they've done a great job at fixing that and coming back from that issue. But let's go towards downtown Santa Ana now, where we'll see the Santa Ana train station, or affectionately known by the OC streetcar as the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Center, or SARTC. I definitely think there was a lesser confusing way to name the streetcar stop, especially as it's a terminal station. So that's what's going to be appearing on the head sign of the OC streetcar vehicles. Speaking on density though, of course we have plenty of apartment structures and buildings here, most likely not due to the OC streetcar, but because of the Metrolink and Amtrak station here, which provide great access to places like downtown LA, San Diego, Irvine, and several other places along the multiple rail lines that run through here on both Amtrak and Metrolink. But there is where the OC streetcar stop is going to be. It's going to leave the street right of way just for a second in order to stop at the station. The tracks do end abruptly there, but we are going to be able to walk along the OC streetcar tracks right here as well, which is interesting to see how they've done that. It's also worth noting that there is not a sidewalk continuing along Santiago Street, so we are going to be walking along the street for that section in just a second. But we can see the parking lot that's been repaved, most likely for the OC streetcar, but I'm sure Metrolink and Amtrak passengers will also be able to use this lot, hopefully, because I definitely don't think the OC streetcar needs this much room. As much as I am optimistic about the OC streetcar, I doubt it's going to fill all of those parking spaces. Looking over there, we can see there was a future net bus as well as a Flix bus as well, which provide more connections along the area. You'll also find the OC Route 83 Express, which was just waiting right there, and the OC Rapid Bus Route 560, which you just saw right there. After letting that pass by, let's go ahead and begin walking along Santiago Street to get a look at the OC streetcar stop at the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Center. Seems like the catenary was folded there. We don't have any wires yet above this part of the alignment, which is a little concerning this late into the streetcar's construction. But it's good to see that they have at least the support structure in place, and hopefully it won't take much longer for them to unfold those and put the catenary up. We'll be looking for that in next month's episode, as they truly need that to begin testing, and that is really what we need to happen with a projected opening of spring of next year. We definitely don't want this to be delayed any further. But looking here, we can see the actual OC streetcar station, which has 2 entrances, one directly from the parking lot and one from the station's bus plaza. Unfortunately, it is a little bit of a walk to get to the Metrolink and Amtrak part of the station. This was most likely due to the lack of space and potential cost cutting, but it does provide great access to the OC bus stops here. And there it is, the SARTC station. It is pretty much the same as the other ones, more similar to stations like the Harbor Transit Center, where it is an island platform with a track on either side. And you can see the tracks end right here as well. The station itself is pretty much the same as we saw in previous episodes. Not much has been done around here at all. It seems like most of the work has been focused around the Raitt Street station, where the rail maintenance facility is. We can also see this weird structure here as well. I'm unsure if that's going to be for catenary or not, especially as it's a little further than the actual OC streetcar tracks there as well. If you do know what that bar is, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. It is also worth noting that the signals there are not on at this part of the station. So there's still quite a bit of work to be done before we can start testing here at this station. But they did do a successful pull through of the entire route. So at least they've done that, and that is a great milestone to do before the OC Streetcar begins testing. Overall, I think the OC Streetcar is going to be a very successful project and begin being part of the OC community, connecting Garden Grove and Santa Ana. So hopefully we see that open soon, and then we can assess how well it is attracting ridership and the effectiveness of the line. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a great line, especially as it's connecting two of the busiest transfer points on OC bus already, the Santa Ana train station here and the intersection of Harbor and Westminster. But here we are now at the beautiful Santa Ana station. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the station building as a little treat for making it to the end of this month's construction update video. Let's take a look. We do see that there is a dedicated bridge crossing from the parking structure's top level into the station itself, directly onto the pedestrian bridge, which is really nice and convenient, similar to the situation that they have at the North Main Corona Metrolink station, which has a similar structure allowing you to walk directly from the upper levels of the parking structure onto the bridge crossing the tracks. The remainder of the OC bus routes stop just beyond there. You can see the 862 bus as well, which does have to back out of its spot, which is a unique boarding thing that they have here at the Santa Ana train station. But here we are now inside the historic building. Let's go ahead and take a look outside at the platform. Going directly outside here, we're able to see plenty of trees and beautiful architectural work here. We can also see a TV screen showcasing the departures from the station, which you can take a look at right here. But that does take us to the end of today's video. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos just like this one, and make sure to have an amazing rest of your day or night. Thanks for watching.